Hello, Mark from MLB DFS Weather.com. It's Saturday, July 2nd. I'm here at Daily Fantasy Cafe and on Twitter at DF Cafe today. My regular Twitter handle is MLB DFS Weather, but I won't be there today. I'll be at DF Cafe, as I said. Today we have a much quieter weather pattern in place across much of the country. The showers and thunderstorms across the Northeast are long gone. No weather delays in Boston or New York City after waiting through multiple delays in New York City and over an hour and a half delay in Boston. We won't have that issue today. The issue that we will have today is in St. Louis. This is the National Weather Service. Basically, the country setup. You can see that that's the only area of the country that really has any weather issues. And this green is a flash flood watch, and the lighter green over here I have to check is a flood warning. So you can see how much rain that region is expecting today just by having those out. Looking at the radars and a little bit detailed for the region there. Let's see, it's this guy here. Putting it into motion, you can see St. Louis is right here at the conflux of these highways. I know one of them's I-70, I forget what the others are. Anyways, a steady shield of rain is heading their way. There's no doubt about it. Let's look at some of the simulated radars that I used in the weather report at Daily Fantasy Cafe. Here's 2 o'clock. Heavy rain about to, it's a 2:15 start, I believe, is about to, if not already in the region. 3 o'clock, it's right on top of them. I didn't add further simulated radars as we go in time, but it's raining there to about 8 o'clock. Certainly seems like a delay is almost 100% sure that they're going to have to stop this game or not start it at some time. The question is, do they postpone and wait? Do they postpone it and just push it off for another game? Or since it's an afternoon game, do they just wait around? And I forgot even who they're playing because sometimes Milwaukee. So that's a division opponent. So they'll have other chances to play them later in the year. They may just say, hey, this is going to be too much of a headache to sit around and wait. It's going to rain. It's going to rain heavy. It's going to rain steady. We all know that. Let's cancel this game early so the fans aren't coming from wherever they need to come and everyone can be prepared. That would be the most positive scenario in our case, because then we could plan on that and make sure know well in advance. They don't always care about what our feelings are. As you can see in our charts today, that's the only game with any threat of rain. Positive hitting environments. Toronto, Atlanta, Houston, Boston, and Arizona for various reasons. Toronto is a hitter's park. Strange thing to watch about Toronto, there's a decent northwest wind blowing. Last time they had a northwest wind blowing. Now it's strange that the setup of the park is northwest wind blows in from left. But they hit, I forget it was 8 or at least 6 home runs in the game, and a lot of them in the left field, and a couple people that were there said, you said the wind was blowing in from left. It was blowing out. Made me really wonder if there's some sort of swirling motion with the winds, if they're strong to moderate from the northwest, because it's a retractable roof, which will be open today. Keep an eye on that. That's why I have in from left 15 miles per hour, but I have it green. I think there's something strange that goes on when there's a strong to moderate wind that blows in from left. So look for hitters. Take advantage of that there. Atlanta, very warm in the low 90s. Not overly humid, but in the low 90s, plus a light wind blowing out. Fenway, the wind is still blowing out, but instead of blowing out to left like it was last night, it's now blowing out to right. And much drier air I should mention, has invaded or at least drained. I don't like to say invaded during the summertime because it's not like we have a bitter cold outbreak or anything like that. The air is just dry. Across the Northeast, New York City, Boston, Philadelphia, D.C. all have much drier air than they did yesterday. Pitcher in ballparks, Tampa Bay for me. St. Louis, if they play there, it's 20 degrees below normal and the wind's blowing in from right. Pretty miserable hitting conditions. Temperatures are only going to be in the 60s. But, again, that's if they play there. The Mets, because it's dry and the wind is blowing in, I believe. No, left or right, just because it's dry and cool there. Seattle, Oakland, San Diego are all strong pitchers' ballparks, and dry air will be in place there, so I mentioned that. Another thing to keep an eye on that's tricky, and this was probably you won't be able to do before lock time, is the game in Arizona. Not sure if the roof is going to be open or closed there. It's not going to be, it's a late game, so it's not going to be overly hot. I mean, it's going to be hot, no doubt about it. It's near 100 degrees, but that's pretty typical for Phoenix, and those people may just be used to that. And I know that they handle the roof there a little bit differently. If it was 100 degrees in Miami, the roof would be closed. There's no doubt about it. But at Chase Field, with the dry heat and no chance for rain, they handle that a little differently. So a little bit unsure about how they handle the roof, to make a long story short. I think that's all I got for you. I mean, a weird slate with a bunch of afternoon games. One 5:50 p.m. game, which probably will be hard to find on any playing site, and then a bunch of night games starting at 3 at 7:15, and then 5 after 10 p.m. all Eastern time. So that's a little weird too. But it's a holiday weekend. Things are going to be a little bit different. Have a good one.